And we're back with Chronicle of the Crown, session 10. And we're going to jump straight into it. So we left off last time with our heroes having a spot of trouble with their travels across the Wildlands. There's not a lot of foraging that we have been able to do, not a lot of food. We've been making sort of good headway, but we've been slowed down by having to forage more because there's less to eat. And we have arrived at a particular old elven forest, which Tyrell has recognized as having the sort of golden ash trees that some elves rather enjoy. So it is more than likely a forest planted by the elves some long eons ago. However, these trees are old and withered. They seem to be on the fading, and there are some ruins that we came upon, including the sort of central piece of this raised stone platform, which in it has this pool for water, which does have water in it, but also has bits of debris and, from, the surrounding nature, and always animals as well. So there's detritus in the pool. The water is dank, and it is winter, so it is partially frozen. It is not the deep winter yet, but we will get there. And Tyrell has recognized that this is the kind of pool that the more powerful elven lords of the ages have used for their far-seeing abilities. We also came upon, noticed rather, in this sort of area that there is a camp of some kind of crew of excavators, it appears. They have a couple, in fact, set up with tarps over them so the snow doesn't, come in and swamp it. They are excavating something in the grounds here at this site in the forest. There's a couple dozen thereabouts, hard to tell, really. We ended up here, I think it was in the early evening, so they were just sort of wrapping up as they're losing light. So they're setting up their campfire, putting the food on, and that sort of thing. There are both humans and dwarves as a part of this crew here as they are wrapping up their activities for the day. And I will mention, as we survey these excavators here, that Glarvir has noted that these ones, the dwarves, they have rather short beards, or even just full on no actual beard, and maybe mutton chops on the side, or maybe just a big mustache. A fair bit more of the old cutting than you're used to seeing in Mulbrannan. Right. That's where we'll pick up. So you have seen these people at work. They haven't spotted you yet. It's over to you guys.
Well, I'll resolve that as loudly in Dwarven. I say, "Hello there!"
There's a couple who dart for a like the nearest hand axe or a shovel. Turn around. They spot you, and sort of, because you're not immediately shooting arrows at them like they sort of expected, putting weapons away a bit, still holding on to a shovel. It's one of them, a human, yells out, "Hello, how can we help you?"
So, continuing to walk forward, some hands held open so they can see I've not got any weapons or whatever. I'm going to walk forward and I'll say, We are just switching to like common for the benefit of the humans.
Huh?
Hello there. We are simple travellers passing through. We hope to join the reclamation efforts at Khaz Karad. We're on our way there, and we spotted you, so we thought we'd come and say hello, and if you don't mind, see what you're up to.
There's one of the dwarves who, like, does a little bit of mental math clearly, and it's like, Cascarad, that's a fair bit. You have to go still.
It's a long journey,
Yeah,
we were
up the
wondering.
mountain too.
I'm assuming they've got like a campfire or something similar.
Yeah, they do. I'm
gonna say we were wondering if we might stop off and share the warmth of your fire for the evening. As you say, we have a long distance to travel, and the journey to Kazkarad is perilous. We were quite surprised to find kith and kin here. A pleasant surprise, I'll warrant you, but a surprise nonetheless.
The dwarf says, well, we'll see about that. Yeah, I looks around. Some of them whisper a little bit there, and it's like, I suppose you can stay for the fire. Don't steal anything, and this whole thing is taken, by the way. So, no putting pick to the ground.
Of course. We appreciate your hospitality. I'm Glavir, and these are my companions, Tyrell of the Woodland Kin, and Cameron Redwin.
Ah, right. Okay then. As we set about, and they sort of have I think they've hunted a deer. They've got this thing on the spit roast there. The dwarf takes out a carving knife and starts working on the spit, and says, so while I work on this dinner here, why don't you all regale us with the tales of how is it that a woodsman, whatever you are, points at Cameron, and a mountainkin happen to be here of all places.
That's fair.
I'll sit myself down and I'll basically break out like on a log or some shit, and I'll basically like break out like the last of my dwarven ale, to show that like we're like sharing it around a bit. We're bringing a little bit of something to the...
Wait, you're breaking out the nog?
Yeah. But busting it out. The dwarves will know what it is.
Yeah, the dwarves do know, which is why I wanted to make sure, because I was like, do you still have some other ale? You must not. So when you take out the nog, every dwarf basically is like, there's the part where the pianist like leans hard on the piano, and every dwarf just turns.
I'll be like going around shaking hands with people, like passing the rest of it around, that sort of shit.
Yeah, it's like everyone sort of starts hovering over, and it's like, is that nog? Is that nog?
Yes, of course. Please forgive me if I'm a little bit forward. We are a little bit famished. I'd be more than willing to share what I have if we could perhaps partake of a few of your victuals.
Yeah. There's deer in the forest, but there's not trees full of nog.
Well, yes, and whilst I have a fair bit of knowledge in the brewing arts, it's fair to say, unfortunately, with our travels, the equipment needed to make such a vintage is few and far between, as I'm sure you can imagine. But please, what little I have remaining, you are welcome to share. Although, and I'll switch to sort of dwarven. I don't know if the humans understand dwarven. I don't care. I'll switch to dwarven as I'm talking to the dwarves, and I'll be like, although I might suggest we water it down a little, if no disrespect, but if non-dwarves are going to partake of it, I'm sure I don't have to tell you of the potent effects this nog can have on those who aren't accustomed to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. As you talk, the sort of the dwarf that you've been talking to most, who also introduces himself as Tharalan. I'll put that in the chat. He sort of like motions for like taps a couple of his dwarven friends here on the shoulder, like pushes them away. Is like, go give the the tall boys a couple trinkets from the pile, because they're not having any of this. And then turns back to you. So, oh, no, 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 no. We don't need. We don't. We're not gonna put snow in this. Old. What would they call you? Old.
Greybeard.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, graybeard. Yeah, we're not putting snow in this brew, graybeard.
Well, no, I'll be honest, I don't like to do so myself, but on occasions where it's all I've had to offer to share with people who've given me hospitality, I have had to do so because it would be poor form on my behalf to so disable a person who had offered me hospitality who was none of our race, if you understand what I mean. But no, I would rather not water it down myself. It does seem something of a sacrilege.
Yep.
I take it they've got a fire going nearby.
Yeah,
as well,
there's a spit going. Yep.
Okay, I'll sit myself down and I'll sort of whisper to my familiar to kind of keep out of the way for now. We don't know how these guys are cool.
Cameron, these fine fellows were asking if we could regale them with the tale of how our disparate but happy band came to be together. As a man of words and of learning, perhaps you would care to share the tale with them. I'm sure it would sound better coming from your lips than from my own my own crude ramblings.
You mean how we ended up traveling together?
Yes, how we ended up travelling together, why we're going to Khaz Karad, the Crown, all of that sort of thing.
Well, I actually don't know if we've established how long we've been traveling together originally. It's,
I think we talked about like a 6 months to a year situation. Well, it's going to be more than that by now because we spent a lot of time traveling.
Well, I'll sit down. I'll take out one of my books, but I won't actually read them. I'll just kind of hold it almost like a totem as I sort of warm myself against the fire. I look over at Tyrell, which I'm assuming he's either invisible or he's yodeling somewhere.
Well, I mean, if my presence isn't like directly required, I probably would have stayed by that mirror. But
I like to think, to be honest, as like Cameron starts telling the story, because we know there's like elven.
I'm just gonna slip away. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say we know there's elven shiz around here, so I'll probably actually, what I'm like, I'll probably actually be saying to him, I'll be like, "Oh yes, I noticed that some of the things in this area are of elven origin. Perhaps, I'm sorry, I don't know all of your backgrounds, but perhaps once Cameron has finished telling his tale, perhaps my other associate, Tyrell, could help shed some light on the things of woodland nature that are around here."
Well, unless your friend knows where to dig, I'm not sure whether we require these services, but anyway, continue, Bright Eyes.
Right? I've been called worse. So yeah, I'll try and flower it up a bit, and I'll a bit say, well, the world, coming darkness has been felt across the world. The great
You can
scholars
feel it in the water.
Yeah. The human kingdoms have sensed the coming of the great, prophesized return. I don't know where actually Glavia was previous to his meeting. He's probably like at a dwarven hold somewhere else, or.
Yeah, I think he's mentioned that he's been, like, that he's a rune caster, and he's also stated that that's not approved in society.
Yeah, I've mentioned previously that I'm originally from Hammerhold, which is like the other dwarven hold, but because like being a rune caster is like seen as like dead eccentric and it's like frowned upon, I've basically been like living as a hermit until like someone I'd sworn an oath of fealty to was like, "Oh, what up? We need someone to go and like recover this crown, and you're it."
I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to bore them with the jargon of like a quest. I was like, an old alliance with our kingdoms was invoked. We must gather to find and use these crowns of legend. Lavia, whom comes from far from this place, he was sent from his kingdom at the behest of the current ruler of the I don't actually can't remember the current ruler's name. He has mentioned.
Well, you see, Cameron, I was actually sent by Prince Thraduk.
It's red. Yes. Tyrell, had been looking after the borderlands for quite some time in his own domain. He elected to come to our aid, as he alone felt or sensed the danger at hand. I myself, recently, in the previous years, was a teacher, in fact, but found myself in the employ of the Dark Watchers, whom I am a member.
What sort of teacher goes prancing around these parts?
That is a fair question. One that had to
Teach
take
orienteering?
More so, I had to take a career change, unannounced. But I don't regret finding myself out here with these fine individuals. We're doing good work.
Right. Anyway, here's what your Nog is going to be buying, and Thrallan is starting to hand out a couple. It's like dead basic camp kit. So like very basic containers with like slivers of the spit, like just carved into the little cup, and starts handing out those.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna eat a little bit. And then I'm going to get some sticks and like the rest of my like meat sticks. I'm going to set them a little way on the sticks from the fire, so I can basically like turn them into like jerky and like stash them away for like during the journey.
I'll eat mine slowly and methodically as I consider these guys, and I'll ask whoever will answer me. So, how long have you guys been out here? What have you found? This is not on a map of any place that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I wouldn't. This is very old. We've been here a couple seasons now, all told. Like, not on location necessarily, but we've come around for a few times. There's still a lot of things in the ground. And you can see in the back the couple dwarves that Thrallan has sent off to like basically buy the humans rations of Nog so that the dwarves don't have to dilute it. And you're seeing in the background there's like some shiny filigree like detail that you imagine might have been like scraped off of a pillar or something, like inlaid metal scraped off from some stonework. They're exchanging basically trinkets. So some of the dwarves are like, okay, so you can have these trinkets so that we can have all the Nog.
This is a deal that needs to be struck.
Yeah, that's going on in the background
Okay.
as you're eating your.
I don't
ration.
get, obviously, as a human wizard of extraordinary ability, I don't see the fuss about this alcohol. But
Well, that's because you've not tried it, Cameron. That's why.
It doesn't seem that appealing to me.
So
I'll just sort of like slide my like tin mug like over to him, like in case he wants a little sip. but I'll be like.
So while all that is
Mm-hmm.
going on, I've slunk back to the mirror, to the pond.
Yep.
It is and the ruins around it. I'd like to investigate them more closely. We didn't really have a chance when we first arrived.
We sort of arrived there and then we quit.
So I'd like to investigate that if possible, especially the surface, the mirror, the water, the pond.
Yeah. So as determined before, the stonework is fine. It is weathered, of course. It's here at the mercy of the elements.
Obviously, I'm not as intimately knowledgeable with stonework, but do I recognize these ruins? Have I heard of them before?
I think you can sort of start to like vaguely guess due to the fact that you don't really recall any elven things this far out. So it must have been a long time ago. It's not in recent memory. Like this is This is from the
not in the
good old
last
days.
400 years at least. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
like,
no,
that's
no,
why,
no, not at all. Like that's way too little. Like
Mhm.
this is from the good old days, like when things were kind of good.
Right.
Yeah, it's not something that you would have ever even heard of. Now you go about. Of course, the stonework is high quality. It's weathered because it's been here forever at the mercy of the elements now, because it's been abandoned for a long time. The pool itself, as I mentioned, the water is fetid because it's all the detritus of nature is in there. It's half frozen because of the temperature, and it's just very dark. And you can pick up some of the you can pick up from some of the other bits of the ruins here. Now it's not like this is a very big structure as such, which doesn't really surprise you. You're sort of getting the idea that this might have been once like a garden area with maybe like one, gazebo type thing somewhere, but like it's an open air. Like the point is to be open air.
Of course.
And you can go about, you see some still intact sort of detail work, some painting here and there, some inlaid bits that suggest that this was a place of course, reflection. That goes without saying because you have the pool here. But in addition to that, it's you pick up hints that this might have been like a refuge for artists. And then some of the further, more esoteric clues, you eventually figured out that they probably relate to stargazing. So this was probably some kind of, because it's fairly distant from, your current heartlands. So it was probably like a remote sanctuary or something for artists and elven stargazers. In some distant past when things were actually good and you could live here this far out and not get murdered by people, humans.
So obviously it's been a long time since this place has been used for its intended purpose.
Yeah, a very long time if you have your facts right.
Is there any way for me to get a sense of whether or not it can still be used as intended?
You could try doing that. Let's see what the Elven Star thing says.
I mean, I have Elf Wise, but I don't believe I have the Stargazer ability.
Yeah.
Although I'd love to learn it.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, if we can try to get that going, we absolutely have the place here to do that.
Because I think the skills are slightly different than the actual spell songs themselves, where they work the same, I believe, or similarly to normal type skills.
Oh, here we go. So it's the
StarCraft. Here we go.
Yeah, no, it's the oh yeah, StarCraft. That's is that the
no? I lied. Is it? That's the crafting one. I apologize.
Yeah. So it's the Song of the Eldar.
There you go.
Is the one. So apologies. On page 298.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So yeah, it's academic. You're free to give it a go if you wanted to.
Okay, but because I'm learning this raw, obviously I can't fork or anything of that. I have to just sort of
it's just
make the effort. Okay,
but it's rooted in perception. So
yeah, right, yeah. So I have a fair
fair
chance as for me. Yeah, it's all right. So, where's my sheet? Hold on a second. Let's just put in the Song of the Eldar. I was hoping this would come up. I actually wanted to learn this one for a while, and I only need to do it once to learn it because
because I'm
so fucking good.
Elf, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's elf bullshit, right? Okay. So, what is the challenge, the obstacle?
Right. So, what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to determine? How do you use this?
Obviously, I've gotten a sense that it was used for some sort of meditative reflection to kind of touch with the natural world and perhaps even the great song, essentially, the chorus that we all kind of come from and are part of. So I'm thinking, we're going in sort of uncharted waters. I want to sort of maybe perhaps take advantage of this place to perhaps maybe tap into that sort of reflection. I don't have the same powers that of seeing the fates in the stone as Glarvir does, or strange sorceries, but this is my place and my people's place. So I'd like to try to tap into it if possible.
So if you want like specific things off the menu, 258 has, I think, brilliant examples at the top left, because those are, under astrology, because that's what this mimics.
Right, it's basically aping astrology, isn't it? Yeah.
And astrology has brilliant examples there for what you could
I gotta get to the right page.
latch onto.
Where are you? Astrology. That one passed. There we go. If you don't give me just 1 second to take a quick gander. Okay.
Yeah, drink them if you have them. Like nogs up.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones there, I think.
Oh yeah, this is really good. But I think for my level of ability, which is none at this moment, and considering we are at the beginning of an enterprise, I think obstacle 2, I believe, for the determining the auspices.
That's the second one. Sorry, that's the last one. So
that's interpreting celestial phenomena or omens is the last one. Yeah.
So you want the auspices of beginning an enterprise, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So that's a 3.
Oh, is it? Oh, is it the?
It's a little bit, because
understood. Yeah. They don't.
The text just runs.
3 is fine. Yeah, it's a 3. I think is the one I would like to try. Yeah, sure. And considering I have a 9 perception, I have a fair shot of actually.
Yeah. Imagine having 9 baseline.
I get the skill, I get the aptitude point whether I fail or succeed. Right?
Absolutely. You only have to try.
I kind of want this to succeed though. I'm going to put a point of persona into it, I think, as well, just because I think so. It's a 3. It'll go up to a 6, right? So I'll have a 10, and so with 10 dice, that's a fair shot of maybe getting at least 1 success, or maybe a 6. Okay, we'll give it a whirl. What did I get?
Yep.
That persona was so worth it.
And you get 3 6s if you want to pump a fate into your perception here. You can re-roll those if you want to, but you don't have to. Would more successes give me better information or better answers? I would say maybe not in this case, because you already kind of hit it out of the park.
Right. Yeah. Got it.
This is just for you if you want to put fate into your perception.
Right.
To spend that.
And my perception is one of my boss. So that's the thing I have closest to shading, really. Probably.
Yeah. Imagine having gray 9 perception.
Can I re-roll? So I can re-roll one of them, but
you can re-roll 3 6s.
Yeah, let's do
off
it.
Of that.
Let's do it. That's fine. You convinced me. They're 3. They're rolling 6s, right?
Yeah, the 6s. Yeah.
And
you can re-roll that 6. You can re-roll that 1 6 again.
Oh, I can. So I can get another
it explodes.
Screw it. Let's do it.
Let's go for 10 successes, guys.
Yeah, let's go for the stars. We're literally. All right, let's throw that in there. Oh,
yeah, there we go.
Oh, no, so, success. It is a
10 successes.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's elf bullshit at play. There you go.
So, the auspices of beginning an enterprise.
Yeah. Oh, and that counts as was that count as a difficult or challenging?
It does nothing aside from giving you the tick.
Getting my aptitude tick, right?
Yeah, and then of course.
Oh, right, because it's not a straight perception roll. That's right. I apologize. But I can still put in the fate, right?
Yeah. The Artha goes into the perception, but you just get the skill now.
No, I'm cool with that. That's
cool. So,
I'm so glad I used that persona point.
It's rather broad in your interpretation of like the auspices of beginning an enterprise, but so you peer into the black pool, half frozen, sticks sticking out of it, leaves, autumn leaves still floating on the cold water. It takes you a while, but you eventually figure out something's wrong with the pool. It doesn't reflect the stars above. It's a clear night. No stars in the pool. And experimentally, you start bringing out a couple of the rhymes of the Song of the Eldar. You sing the song of your people, as it were. And little by little, the sort of black surface of the reflecting pool actually starts accurately reflecting the night sky. It didn't do that at first. You don't know what that's about. You didn't pick up on it for quite a long while, and that's also disturbing why it took so long. But you sing to the pool, and it starts doing the thing that you expect it to, which is to act like water and reflect. And you gaze at the stars in the pool. The dark summons images into, you're not sure because you haven't really done this before. You're not sure if the images are in the water or in your sort of mind's eye, but you see the heroes, the three, arriving in Mulbrannan successfully. Khaz Karad. Khaz Karad successfully. And you get snatches of, Cameron waving a torch in the dark, like keeping a hand on dusty, ancient stone, like chiseled stone wall worked by the hands of ancient dwarves. Cameron stumbling forward in the dark. Glarvir is trying to guide him along, and you can see yourself fighting something off that you don't see what it is, but there's a weapon that comes into your mind's eye, and there's you like fending it off and trying to cover the advance of these two as you go. You get another shot of a cavernous hall, and you're filled with sadness. You don't know what that's about, but it's like a high shot of the three of you, a single torch, and you're walking alone in this cavernous hall, the footsteps echoing like sad rattling in this. It feels funereal to you somehow in this sort of dream logic way. And it seems to be going like it's like you are clearly, the pool is showing you will make it into Khaz Karad. You will make it into these lost halls. It's going to work. Like you will get there. Mm-hmm. But the pool, as established, because it's the beginnings of this enterprise, there's something there that haunts you. You know that you were fighting it off. Mm-hmm. You successfully fought it off, but it's something that it keeps nagging in the back of your mind as you watch the three of you walking across this massive hall. You know that something's in the dark still, and
I feel like we're being stalked.
Yeah, you feel like you're being stalked and that you're being surrounded. You think there's more than the thing that you fought off, and you're not quite sure if you can make it back properly. So it's a sort of like, you can see the point where you sort of have to pick, do we keep going? Because I don't know if we can make it back still, if we decide to go back. But yeah, it does go well, but you're aware of this, like a danger in the shadows that will be haunting your steps when you get in.
As I experienced the vision in the pool, the tone of the song grows mournful and sad, and carries throughout the wood. You know, this was a place where we made our music, where we gazed at the stars. No elf has been here possibly for thousands of years. And so for the first time, this forest and the area surrounding it rings with our song again. And when I finish and the vision recedes, I will rise. I will cast my gaze to the stars and around the ruins. I'll bow my head for a quiet moment or two, and then I will return back to the encampment.
There's a point where you realize that it feels like it truly feels like a lament, even if it wasn't one, when you realize that the forest, as you would know it to be, cannot join you in the song. The rustling of the leaves is not here because it's winter. There's no leaves in the trees. So the trees, rather than being your sort of choir, now they're just mute bystanders. And as you start walking towards the camp, there's like the one errant leaf that was still stuck on one of the trees that like detaches and like falls, gets stuck on your cloak.
I'll put my hand to it. I will take it from my cloak, and I will carefully put it in a belt pouch.
Yep. It's a like frost-rimmed golden ash tree leaf that was somehow still golden, but frozen on the tree. And you come back just in time to see these. there's humans and dwarves apparently trading. You think you watched over the ruin site, so they've probably been scraping off, the filigree fillings on the pillars and whatnot. They're trading trinkets of elven make. Is clearly you can see, and it's a short leap of logic for you that's what they're digging out of the ground. You've probably already figured that out, but
I did, and I didn't, perhaps in my desire to commune with the pool, perhaps didn't realize how angry that this would make me. But when I see them bartering my people's legacy, like their cheap trinkets for
it's basically
a cask
coin
of elven or dwarven ale, I should say, I am a little peaked, let's say.
There's a shout that goes up when they see that you're arriving. It's like, "Hey, woodland friend, there's meat and water if you want it."
I see. Well, might I inspect your merchandise first? After all, they do appear to be authentically elven trinkets. Would you mind if I perused them?
Thralan, the sort of dude doing the carving on the deer, is like, no. We did say when you sat down for the dinner, this is all taken. This is all spoken for. And while regularly we would be in business, however, these are already solved.
I see. Well, would you mind if I still took a glance? I have no intention on pilfering your hard-earned gains, if that is what you are implying.
Long as no one's stealing, everyone's friends are on the fire.
Very well. Thank you.
Yeah. If this is sort of in general to, I guess, Cameron and Glarber, because they're sitting down, Thralan says, if you don't fancy going up all the way the mountain, we could cut you in the deal. Greybeard, you have
No.
You have a hefty hand. You could swing a shovel and a pick.
I have done some mining in my time.
And Bright Eyes here. Well, we have brushes and things that need brushing. And yeah, Barbara.
Quick question, Matthew. Did you have a sip of my dwarven ale?
Nah, I've seen what it does to people.
Don't know what you're missing, mate. Don't know what you're missing.
I've seen what it does to people. It makes grown
Weak
men just turn
people.
into
Weak people who don't have the stones for good dwarven ale.
Does Tyrell look like visibly angry? Is he giving off real like?
You have traveled with Tyrell long enough to know that he is enraged.
Okay.
We know he likes to dip his toe into that spike.
Concealing that well enough for outsiders, but not well enough for either of you to not realize it.
Okay, I'll give him a long kind of look, and that's very kind offer that you very kind that you offered to find me work in brushing and sweeping and cleaning.
Cleaning the things we pick up from the ground.
A good hard day's work is never without its reward. However, we do have a kind of a quest, a kind of an obligation.
Quest.
Cameron is right. We have sworn to see this through to the end. I'm sure I don't need to tell you how important that is.
We're doing that, are we? Oh. Yeah, but
when you guys have been excavating this area, did you speak to the local elves when you started digging up their relics?
Oh yes, we spoke to the local elves. He makes a show of looking around. It seems they're all gone now.
They are around. It's just they can be hard to spot, believe me.
Very, very hard.
Now then, Cameron, I'm sure if there were elves in the vicinity when this started going on, they would have made themselves known. Would that not be correct, Tyrell?
I'm near the objects. I was about to.
Yeah, so there's like there's their whole like tent.
I imagine it's like they're on a display, perhaps mat maybe perhaps.
Yeah, they're like processing them. Basically.
As I'm about to begin to look at them, I'll respond to Glavia. Yes, they would all be dead by now if we were here. But,
and obviously my voice will carry because as per my traits, I'm like shouting my tits off. I'm just not trying to deafen you all.
No, I understand everything that comes out your character's mouth is full on Brian blessed.
Pretty much, yeah.
Has no one not slept with my daughter? Sorry, I'm big Brian Bliss land from in the Claudius. Anyway, but yes, I would like to inspect the elven artifacts.
You see, of course, things that have been pried off of buildings, basically. So the ruins, probably, but also there's arrowheads like inscribed with elven imagery. There's some belt buckles, some maybe like dining ware. This is like forks and such. There's a goblet or two. It's whatever would be in a sort of, well, it's mostly sort of like household things that they have currently on display here. And they're sort of brushing them off, like they have like bristle brushes going hard at them. And
do I on any of the items, perhaps inscriptions or even beyond that, do I sense anything that perhaps either it was tied to the purpose around the pool or at the pool, or perhaps just themselves wrought by one of our artisans? Because again, we imbue our objects oftentimes with our songs, and so that they are objects of power, and those objects should not be in a curio cabinet somewhere. So.
And while you're doing that, I'm sat next to Cameron Miller.
It's very good.
I'm quite all right.
Wow, there's not a kind of a taste.
So you come to the conclusion none of these are probably imbued with the magic of the elves. they are all elven make, would fetch a good price, do you think? Probably. But it doesn't have, it seems to be the things that you would use regularly in life. So
Common
it doesn't,
items.
yeah, common sort of things. And none of them like stick out as, oh, this is one of the lost seeing stones. Like there's
Right. Yeah.
there's none of that, but there's like the sort of silver knife with the like calligraphy on the handle,
filigree and
and the jewel embedded in the pommel, and
but nothing of true sorceress or mystical or historical worth.
No,
because obviously common objects, I'm annoyed, but I'm not going to murder them all just because of a few knives. But if it was something that was truly of value, I want to see it. Is it possible? You named him Thrallin, correct?
Thrallin, the seemingly the sort of spokesperson for.
May I turn to Thrallin? I turn to Thrallin, and I would like to say, is this the full extent of your stock? Is this all that you have found here?
For the season, yeah. And now it's getting too cold to put the picks to the ground with, sensible effort. Like we could keep going, but the season is coming to a close now.
Right.
We're gonna have to take this in soon.
I understand. But these are the sorts of objects you have found here. Nothing else.
We found some things before. That wasn't, forks and pans and stuff. But of course, that's what you take first, right?
Of course.
That's first season.
I know this might be a stab in the dark, but could I see if I can identify this area, this place, maybe this?
If you want to roll a white for something,
yeah,
I've
got
ahead.
obscure history, so I'm kind of thinking maybe I can pick up a few details.
Yeah, but let me know what you're doing with your thing, because
I can help him with that. I can elf a forest wise in if he wants a fork. Or
I want to. This is my idea because we're not too far from the Dwarven lands, right?
Yeah, no, the mountains are there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of what is the significance of this place in the shadow of the Dwarven. Is it a city or as a whole? They call it, isn't it?
Yeah, they're whole.
Basically a city. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a mountain-sized area of dwarves.
Of Khaz Karad.
The Anvil
Hall.
Must have had. I always think that these mountain holes must have very decent population density. If they're really built from top to bottom into the living earth.
So here's my thinking is that perhaps on some level the dwarfs and the elves in the area might have at some point known about the ocean underground, and sort of pinpointing this place may give me a clue to helping to find this underground river. This, if the elven city is called Gateway to Secret Ocean, then this might actually connect to the place we're actually trying to get to. There might be stuff here we can use, or on the right track.
Right. So if we're looking at history,
and also I just kind of want to. I don't want to tell Tyrell his own history. That sounds a bit offensive, but I kind of want to relate to him by giving him a few pieces of information of his own history to show that I've learned a bit about his people, and I understand that this place is maybe sacred to him, maybe even really important site for all I know. This may have been an ancient elven graveyard. Not many acorn coffins here. I don't know.
Right. So this is kind of interesting because you don't have ancient history, which is also a thing. You have obscure history. Yeah. So
obscure history, is this that'll fit the bill? Okay, I can do
it does, but we need to think about it in that term. It's
right,
not ancient history; it's obscure history.
So obscure facts and nuggets of information you might have heard along the way.
Rather than this was established by Gil-galad in the first age.
Yeah. I mean, I have Elfwise, so I mean, if there was anything to know, either was beyond my score of 4 with Elfwise, which case then.
Or,
I wouldn't have known it readily without a roll.
It'd be good to know if this place bears a curse of some description. That's why there's no one around anymore.
Well, these are all things that sound very good for rolling purposes. So if you guys want to determine, is there a curse on this ancient elven forest?
Yeah, I'm trying to basically I'm trying to determine what this place was called, if it had a name, if I have read it somewhere.
Right.
If there was like a fact that I've been passed around.
I mean, I really would have known that if it was knowable, correct? More or less.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily, but because this is way old, and it's not in the current sort of zeitgeist, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not like a fact that would relate to either why the elves are not here, so it could be a curse, or what happened to the elves in relation to being next to the dwarf.
Okay, so pick one. Which one are you trying to determine?
Why the elves aren't here anymore.
Okay. Why the elves aren't here anymore does sound kind of obscure.
And I can help out with that.
Yeah, you can help with your pick your.
Remind me with help actions that I don't gain a benefit.
Yeah,
I just help him.
You just give an extra die to Cameron, and then you get to tick your.
Oh, I do get to tick.
Yeah, you tick. Yep.
Perfection. I will then tick on elf wise then, because it's I believe the most relevant. So go ahead and add a die there, Cameron.
Right. So I get an extra die. It's obscure history. Boom, baby. What's the difficulty?
Obscure history. Now this is the thing. The list for obscure history is kind of like we need to interpret this a little bit. I'm kind of inclined to say this would match the history of the ones who lost the war, which would be obstacle 6, but that seems a bit like unnecessarily brutal.
Yeah.
I would say maybe we'll go with obscure figure in history 4. Let's go with 4.
That seems more reasonable.
He's going to give me a chance.
Yeah. Wait, you get an extra die from me as well.
He's going to give me a chance. Yeah. Okay.
So don't forget that.
No, I'm not using. So I'm not going to use Arthur on this because it's not like it's not something desperate to know.
Yeah,
it's more like I'd like to know
type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So close. So close.
Do you get any 6s in there?
No 6s either.
No.
Oh, you're rolling with 2 dice. Okay.
Working on those skills.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so close though. There's nothing we can do at the stage, right?
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
It would have been a 6, and then you.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. It would have been a chance, but I did get a challenging tick.
Yeah, you get a challenging now, Drury. What is your elf wise?
Oh, I believe it is 4.
4. Okay, you get a difficult tick on that.
Oh, banger.
Okay.
All right, I like that.
Right. Well.
So I would have approached him after examining the trinkets. He would have asked me some questions. Kind of, I would convey some of the basic information about the purpose of this.
You huddle down. Yeah.
All that.
Well, I think I've heard of this place. Is this the?
So why did the elves leave this place? You're not sure, really, but you come to the conclusion, like comparing notes, basically, you come to the conclusion that this was, as Tyrell was sort of trying to figure out anyway on his own, this was abandoned a very long time ago indeed. And when this was used, that was when we had the 3 crowns.
Yeah. See, I feel some empathy towards Tyrell in this, because from a human perspective, from knowing a little bit about history, and studying, that there's so much of human stuff that's been abandoned and reclaimed and salvaged, but we live so little compared to an elf that there's a lot more of a disconnect between that time. So it's like it's almost like another civilization almost. Yeah. But to him, it's almost like just his grandfather's town that's been.
I could have grown up in a garden like this essentially.
Yeah. So I'm looking at him thinking I could see why he'd be so angry, because it's almost like his neighborhood being trashed.
Exactly.
It's hard of him to remove himself from it.
Yeah. So I think the sort of effect here is like that's what you can put together, because you did not succeed in that, and the sort of
One day I will.
the reason why failing this is bad is because Thrallin has been listening in, and he's eating his dinner as well, and has offered Tyrell some deer if he wants, and
I'll accept at this stage. Yeah,
he's listening in, and he's like, yeah, it's all kinds of old, really. I don't like we've had a couple of sharp eyes on the rotation a couple seasons back, and couldn't really tell. I suppose it's a very long time ago. Not really a scholar myself, really, aside from the shovel and the pick, but it's old enough that the folks back in Riethil are paying top coin for it. So
who's paying for this? Who's funding your expedition?
The folks back in Riethil.
Well, they must have a lot of resources to have you all the way out here.
Oh yeah. The people fancying the big campfires and stuff.
The church has got you here.
Well, if that's how you want to put it, then I suppose they've got a real appreciation for all kinds of old trinkets. So
do they now?
Yeah.
Do they now?
There's I don't want to call it a bounty because we're not killing people out here.
But why would
you're just acquiring history of a lost people.
These are elven cultural artifacts. The church is about the flame of humankind. They're about our civilization, our salvation, our
I'll
future.
Put a hand on Cameron's shoulder, and I will lean in close to his ear, close enough that I almost touch his ear with my lips, and I'll say,
"We killed them all at midnight." What? Sorry, I didn't mean to
execute Order 66.
Get out the blasters.
No,
kill the younglings.
Hey, they go first. I'll say to him simply that our objects often have power of their own, and I'll, pull away at that point.
Okay, I sort of nod. Okay. Just sorry, it was I just find it unusual because dwarven merchants and excavators tend to not really work for human organizations. They keep to themselves. This is very unusual.
Well, we're not exactly in Mulbrannan, are we? Then sends a smile towards Glarver.
True enough.
I just sort of raise my drinking vessel to him and say, "Aye, that's true."
Yeah, so we do as we can, and
fair.
All folks in Riethil, a lot of coin, very enthusiastic, and here's the real kicker. If you find like an old armoire or something, like not so much about the old robes and stuff, but if you find jewelry enough like a tiara, they will give you sacks of silver for that.
Oh no! Oh boy!
They'll give you.
It's like an alarm going off in my head.
We took back one. I think it would have been called a tiara. Apologies, not a jeweler. Don't know the terminology, but a band you
crown.
A band you would put on a hand.
A diadem.
A diadem. Yeah.
Thank you, Glavia.
Call it all three of these, and you'll probably get a bonus from them with the pay. So that's really the big deal that we're trying to dig here. Not really hopeful that we can find another one, but we make do with the forks and the knives.
When did you acquire this item?
Oh, it must have been it's a couple of seasons ago now.
Do you recall who you sold it to? I mean, you said it was Riethel?
Riethel, yeah. The folks with the big bags of silver.
Some kind of organization there.
Really, yeah. They got a whole thing going where they have big towers, really like fires going on inside. the
Church of the Flame.
Yeah. I never really paid too much mind to that, but more about the silver, really.
Of course, Thrallin. You have to understand, I am an enthusiast of my own culture, and I would love to meet others who feel the same. Perhaps I can help them authenticate their items. Being a bit of a student myself.
Sure.
Perhaps if you could give me a couple of names, we could perhaps take a brief detour to this lovely city that you're describing and inquire.
Okay, I'll scratch up a couple names that he can spout out. He's like, yeah, like I said, if you want to, like, I can cut you in on the deal, and if we have an expert on hand to call everything by its fancy name, bump up the price.
Did they know this location? Did they send you here knowing it was here?
No. We scoped this out, but
are you returning to your base of operations?
Yeah. As soon as the ground goes frozen enough, we can't put a pick to it without spending all day on it. Then we'll need to head back very soon. I think.
Did they give you like were they looking for a particular type of elven item, or was it just whatever they could?
Just said as such.
It's anything really. You pull off the ground, looks old enough, take it to them, get paid.
I'd hazard a guess, Cameron. They're after a crown.
Or a diadem, even.
Indeed.
We would refer to them as diadems in your language. Well, in this common language, but I digress.
What are they up to?
Cameron, perhaps we can confer. Thrallin, while you come up with those names, we and perhaps terms of us joining our enterprise temporarily, of course. I'd like to confer with my associates. One moment, please.
I've got my
Glavier.
My furrowed brow has got a furrowed brow. I'm like,
this is
like
escort them both to the area by the pool, which is further away from the encampment. Glavier, at a quiet whisper, still sounds like he's firing a cannon. So I'm trying to.
I don't know what you mean.
You're overly loud, my friend, and I need. So, I know it's a detour. However, twofold. One, if they are again seeking crowns and diadems and such, they may very well believe that this part of the world has their crown, and of course they're incorrect according to our information, but they're not far off. So perhaps we should investigate that. And frankly, on a more personal note, I would feel more comfortable if we did not leave possible items of power in the hands of humans, especially the Covenant of the Flame.
Do you really believe these sort of things are held here?
That diadem that Thrallin described could very well be just a simple decorative piece. However, my people, the way we wrought our works, we put our songs into them, our power.
Yeah, I understand that. Terrell, I feel
stuff of creation.
I feel your grievance at this. It seeing one's history dug up is distasteful. But
trying to use my words, but they're all very lucky that they have information.
They do not understand how that must be for you. But we are on the clock here somewhat. We do. We're near the hold now, right? It's not too far, Glavier. We're not that far from.
We're not that close either, as far as I understand it.
Normally, I would say that we should push on straight to Khaz Karad. However, given that this involves the Covenant of the Flame, that puts a very different reflection on it.
Does put a spin
on it. Has fate not decreed that your destiny is intertwined with that of the Covenant, Cameron? Does it not seem strange that here miles from anywhere, we stumble across yet another link to the Covenant, as though the strands of fate are closing on you and drawing you towards your destiny.
While I appreciate your belief in my fate, right at this second, Glavia, it's not helping, because if we go to Rayfill unprepared and sort of half cocked as we are, we're walking into their powerhouse.
Nothing is half-cocked about this, Mr. Woodman. We will have a cover identity. We shall infiltrate. We shall learn.
Look at us.
How
are we going to look
the
subtle?
Location of the items. And if I have to kill every member of the Covenant of Flame in that city in order to get to them,
don't, Glavia, don't say it.
I will.
I understand that, but
I won't start there, though. I give you my solemn word that I will not start.
If we do this, though, we are giving people who may be trying to stop us more time to catch us, and so far we have moved without a great deal of adversity, because we have three individuals on a mad quest. But if we go to Rethel, we have to be very careful, because you can see there's a little bit of fear in him now from the. This is not just like going to a big city. This is going to where the church rules.
You see this. The way you are looking at it, Cameron, is certainly one way of looking at it. However, you could also choose to look at it as a fact-finding expedition that would enable us to find out more about our enemy. Okay. You are right, we would have to be careful. And whilst I don't know about this cover thing, I don't have any truck with deceit or anything of that nature. But
well, then allow me to do talking and you keep your mouth closed.
No, I'm afraid I cannot allow deceit to go and challenge.
I understand.
Indeed.
If we do this, I want to understand what our objectives are there, because I don't want to spend too long. I
outlined our objectives quite clearly.
Indeed. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Terrell, the idea was to get in, examine this artifact, see if it possesses any power. If it does, we'll then reassess.
Must be taken from them.
Indeed.
And we do need to know what they may know about the lore and the legends regarding the one true crown of humanity, because they clearly have heard more than we suspected. Our information came, shall we say, directly from the source, but what they may have pieced together over the last several centuries, who knows what they might know. And if we head to Khaz Karad,
it is unusual, I will grant you.
They do not know what they may know.
Well, obviously they are engaged in a search for the crown. Hence this, of
course,
this offering these vast sums of silver for anything that's remotely resembling a crown.
Indeed,
they've obviously got plenty of money to be able to do this, so they're not without resources. But Terrell is right. If there is even a small chance that this item that they have recovered, never mind other items that they may have recovered from other people, have power that they can use for whatever.
Cannot let them have
dastardly ends. You're quite right, Terrell. We cannot allow it to remain in their possession.
People at their disposal. I know that our magics are of a different sort to the ones humans truck in. However,
could they even utilize it? Are they even able to wield this?
They are items that contain the power. Given time, study.
And indeed, the only way we will know for sure is if we see the items for ourselves.
Indeed. And I should... Glavia, you'll perhaps be tickled by this. I have received revelation. I believe would be the way you describe it.
Oh, yes. God, not another one.
A prophecy.
I have seen into the water. I point to the pool at our feet. I have seen into the water. I have gained reflection from the stars themselves, and they have shown me what awaits us in Khaz Karad.
Good news.
Question. Are we by the reflecting pool as we speak?
Yeah, I moved us away there. I wanted to be far away from the encampment.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to really hear, and Glarvier can't possibly be quiet.
Tune down. So, Terrell, as Terrell motions, like I have witnessed the reflection of this pool, and as you two glanced at the pool, straight black, knows nothing. It doesn't show the sky at all. There's the debris sticking out, but otherwise it's like basically might as well be matte black.
What's the pool made out of?
The structure itself is stone.
Yeah.
Like around the
Oh,
pool
here we
itself,
go. Yeah.
I mean, we're surrounded.
Are we all
ancient
getting out our
lore.
special skills now? I'll just look at my sheet, guys, and just find my.
Let's see what you can whip out next.
See what I've got.
You summon the spirit of the pool, right?
Oh, or the spirits of the
Don't
forest
tempt
in the
me.
area. Oh God.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
So yeah, I'm going to kneel down by this pool, and I'm going to start sort of whispering under my breath to the stone that forms around the pool. And I'm going to attempt to use my reason of old stone.
Old stone.
And
Okay.
first things first, I'm only trying to establish like the precise age of the stone, because obviously this is elven magic. Terrail's already seen all the visions and whatever, so I'm just trying to get a bit of like extra background info.
I'll hold my tongue as you reach down to touch the stone and wait.
Yeah, please give us the rollery do.
Okay, so it should only be
Obstacle
obstacle one,
for
yeah,
the
for the
age.
age of the stone.
Yep.
Don't really have any forks or advantages.
Which, interestingly enough, does play into what we've been doing.
Yeah,
before.
right. Totally. No, absolutely.
I'm not going to put any Arthur into base obstacle one. Boom.
There we go.
Nice.
The stone
It's old.
speaks as only stone can to a dwarf who has the ears to listen. And it speaks to you of a time several thousand years ago when the elves sung this from the ground and bid it to form this pool. It's your sort of estimate is you don't get an exact, like, it doesn't give you a number, but it's like it feels to you that this would be like a couple of ages of the world. So let's take a guess, like 4,000 years maybe. It's ancient, from the ancient days.
Okay. So I like think as I'm sort of talking to the stone and I'm examining it, you maybe see like just like a single teardrop that I try and like wipe away, like, oh, I got a bit of dust in my eye.
And I think the stone does imply like it is not sentient as such, but as we have the capability of talking to the stone, obviously the world is magical, right?
Yeah.
So you sort of get this, like, it feels like you're young again when the stone speaks of the days when the elves sung to the stone. And because it's so old, it sort of gives you this like youthful, like good feeling, because it's almost like meeting with your like long lost grandfather or something.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like it feels good. It feels happy somehow, talking to something that is so ancient.
So I think I'll say in a slightly like cracked but still incredibly loud voice, I'll be like, ah yes, many ages of the world have passed since the forest kin, with their magnificent voices, sang this place into existence. It was a different time than the faded, dilapidated age that we live in now. A more golden time when the sun shone more brightly upon the land, upon forest dweller and stonekin alike.
Even for ourselves, we have lost much as well.
Yeah, and
Well-
it's not often, Terrell, that you, because of your work, basically, you grew up in your homeland, which
Yeah.
is the current civilization.
Yeah.
And then your work has been sort of martial in nature.
Sure, of
quite a
course.
lot. So you didn't really spend time in the library reading about history and all that stuff, even though like it's natural to you.
I'm versed in it, but I'm not an
you're-
expert.
Yeah, you're not an expert, and this is for this is archaeology for the elves as well.
Yeah.
So that this is like far beyond like you going into a library reading a history book. This is like specialists study this stuff because this is old.
When we have found the one true crown of humanity, when we have banished the darkness and restored peace and tranquility throughout the land, I think perhaps I'll go into archaeology.
Well,
Noble pursuit.
If anything, what the stone has revealed to me makes me more sure than ever of the rightness of our cause. It would warm my heart to think that perhaps in some small way we have a part to play in returning the world to something of its former glory, rather than the faded remnants that we live in now.
We live in the shadows of fallen empires these days.
Indeed, none of us, not the elves, not the dwarves, and certainly not the humans, have that same strength that we had in ages past, but there is still a flicker, a small spark of that greatness that remains within each of us, and perhaps our quest will go some way to fan those small flames, so that once again the burning fires of enlightenment will sweep across the land.
It's what I said to Wraithwind. It is not who we are, it is what we do with the time we have.
Aye.
To seek and find, and not to yield.
Yeah, and you are reminded at this time of Wraithwind's words, where she more or less indicated we've lost this struggle. Like, there's no struggle anymore. There's only defeat, and we need to seek to go elsewhere, like abandon these lands.
Well,
and I say balderdash to that.
In pursuit of our noble cause, let me convey to you the vision of the stars that I received.
Please.
We will make it to Khaz Karad.
Of course.
However, within those halls, we will be beset by enemies. Many enemies.
Let them come.
There may come a moment when we will need to decide whether to abandon our course or to continue on. If we choose to continue forward, we will not be able to turn back. We may not even perhaps make it to our final destination, or at least not all of us. We need to be prepared for the worst.
Indeed.
However, of course, I had this revelation prior to our lovely conversation with Thrallin and his friends. Perhaps, although I highly doubt that they have the one true crown in their possession, if they did, things would be very different right now.
I don't even think that they want the one true crown from this place.
I would not be so sure of that, Cameron. The power that would give your Covenant of the Flame would be unmatched. They would rule over your lands and conquer all of humanity. And then, well, we would have problems in our frontiers and borders.
You have your crown, right? You have it somewhere.
We do. That would not mean that we want to fight a unified horde of humans bent on murdering us and taking our crown for themselves.
Indeed, Terrail is correct. The true, whereas his people and mine still have our crowns.
This wouldn't be our first crusade that we've faced.
The true power of the crowns is when they are united and used by an alliance of the three peoples.
Indeed.
I studied that too, yes.
And if the Covenant of the Flame somehow gets hold of this crown, or something approximating it, do you really think that they will reach out with thoughts of alliance to the elves, to the dwarves? I think not.
You speak of our crown, the human crown, if they find it.
If the Covenant acquires it, or even if they acquire the false crown in the north, or if they become subverted by that dark power itself.
Which they surely will.
They surely shall. And that is why I took certain steps and precautions back at Strathfell.
The question that bugs me is that from my experience with the church, they've never had any interest in elven artifacts or the elven people. They solely focused on...
The Covenant of the Flame cares about power. And again, our artifacts often contain power.
Exactly, Tyrell. But is that... Are they is that power being bent against my own people, or are they looking for something here to affect your people?
It is clear from my point of view that, as Tyrell says, the Covenant of the Flame seeks power and also control. They seek to establish themselves as the dominant ruling
Dominion
force,
over all.
indeed, in human society. And it is no great stretch of the imagination that once they have subjugated your human society, they will then have nowhere to look but elsewhere, to the forest kin, to the mountain folk.
And of course, I cannot allow that. So,
Indeed. And they're, as Tyrell said, they are not interested in the elven culture or the beauty of the creation of these items. They are interested in the power and the leverage and the control that such items could potentially give them. And that is not a power we can allow them to possess.
and more to the point, if we do face our potential doom in Khaz Karad, raiding this reliquary not only would return the items to safe hands, but potentially would give us an advantage in our struggles yet to come. Our items, even the meanest of them, can be things of exquisite beauty and power. So, I understand, Cameron, the risks. I understand that you may fear to tread in this place again.
I'm more worried about giving people time to catch up to where we are.
Well,
For my own studies, before I joined you all, I learned that there are forces out there. There are things out there that do not wish this crown to be found. They do not wish my people to have a chance at a better future. So I don't want to give them time to marshal their forces against us. We are few for now, but in time we could be many.
I'm going to sort of put a hand on Cameron's shoulder and I say,
If he says fate again, I'm gonna.
I say, what remain? I'm very loquacious. I don't have to use that particular word. What I'm going to say to you, Cameron, is we are at what is called a tipping point. I don't have the exact translation.
crossroads.
Indeed. What remains to be seen here for you, the decision is: do you wish to embrace your destiny, or do you seek to push it aside and look to another path? That is the decision that lies before you. As Tyrell said, you have reached a crossroad. At one lies your destiny with the Covenant of the Flame. The other leads to where I do not know.
I do not seek a grand ambition, Levy, despite your proclamations. I seek only to do what I feel is right with what time I have left.
Destiny is often thrust upon those who seek it the least, Cameron.
Plus, you do not understand, Levy, but this, and I sort of gesture at my face, and my familiar will have sort of trotted back by this point. I will not go unnoticed, despite what Tyrell suggests.
Well, I'm not exactly stealth incarnate myself, Cameron. You don't hear me complaining about it.
Cameron, all I can say is that if we do take to this path, you would not walk it alone.
Of course.
Aye.
Tyrell and Garvira, myself and Garvira are here.
If you think this is our best course of action, I will go along with both of you, because obviously we are 3 part of a larger whole. I don't claim leadership of this.
No.
I respect your counsel. My concerns are that we must stick to our original prize. But if you believe this is of great import, we can go to it. It's not
we are all
too far.
We are all equals in this fellowship. We are comrades at arms. So do not think, Cameron, that it is not for you to say what is in your heart. Mm-hmm. Each of us must speak to what we believe to be the correct course of action. If you believe that is to go to Khaz Karad, then by all means speak it and let it be known, and we will discuss it and we will decide between us which way our fellowship would go. For I would not see the fellowship be broken.
We need to go there, but if you think this takes precedent now,
our ultimate fate lies in Khaz Karad. I mean, I've seen that. Glavia has seen that. However, I do strongly feel that this diversion, although it may cost us time, it may save our lives in the future. Of course, I cannot know that for certain. I do not see fate so clearly as Glavir. I only can speak to the living universe itself and hope for an answer. But
I trust your foresight. I just hope the church is not as well informed as they always seem to be.
well, if they are, Cameron, then they can come and
What
die
we
by my
need
blade.
what we need is a friend in Rathfield. That's what we need. And John, I have an idea. And I want to prompt you. Maybe you could do a thing, John. Flavia.
Yes.
Do you by any chance have any of your old war buddies in the city? Like, any of the retired.
Well, I have been
band?
I did partake in a number of campaigns with the host back in my youth. I don't suppose it's inconceivable.
We need a safe place to investigate. I know Rayfield does have some small collection of dwarfs. Because my feeling is even though obviously it's a human city, that they would have some dwarven craftsmen there and kind of people who would obviously know how to work stone, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Classical Tolkien kind of the idea of good stone work. Good craftsmanship.
It would be like a very specific group of some craftsmen, outcasts, exiles, that sort of thing.
To be honest,
Mercenaries.
I'm thinking with my Nogger abilities, maybe there's some dwarven brewers there.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Giving you a circle prompt, John, if you want to.
we can establish a lot of these things. Yeah,
I'll give it a circle roll. I have no circle abilities whatsoever. I give it
just
a go.
love
Then.
the idea of meeting one of your war buddies.
It's probably going to be some
being
dwarf who's like, yeah, he's a bellend.
So, as I understand it, Riathel is a major human city, correct?
yeah, it's one of them. The big there's we've been I've been referring to the 100 kingdoms of humanity. There's a lot of local lords and lordlings about, but Riathel is one of the bigger sort of successor things that spawned off of the old High Kingdom,
Right.
and the name itself as well is sort of more reminiscent of the old High Kingdom sort of nomenclature than some of the other ones.
Yeah,
because
it's
you
the
will
most
have
put together one of all.
yeah.
Basically.
So it does have even in the name it does have old High Kingdom pedigree, and it is.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed those little
little
twang, little touch.
Yeah, and it's a major player in the human sphere, and also it has this well enough because you know Cameron and he's been talking about his stuff, and you did get this sort of opportunity to talk, not talk, but listen to people, namely Cameron and his former student. This is the session you weren't part of,
Right?
but,
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
but Tyrell was there, and you could have listened to them talk. So
She drank the Kool-Aid 100%.
you know that in Riathil, Riathil is a big player, and they are a legit successor kingdom. But currently, not only do they have this apparently prestigious institution of sorcerers and summoners called the Tower of Wisdom. Not only do they have that, but the Tower of Wisdom is more or less completely absorbed by the Covenant of the Flame now, and the Covenant of the Flame is the de facto authority in Riathil now. It's like a theocracy of the Covenant of the Flame in all but name.
Got it.
Cameron has legit reason to be worried.
So I guess my question is, obviously, Glarvier is trying to do a circles roll, but it sounds like this would be the kind of place an elven spy would probably be hanging out.
Yeah, you could do your own thing for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, from my perspective, the nearest to humanity's lands is the old country of my friend.
My issue is I don't want anyone who does know me to know that I'm in the city.
So yeah,
I don't want anyone to recognize me.
So can I tap that particular circle? Hold up, I gotta pull up my.
Well, let's start with
Let's go with
Glarvier.
Glarvier. Yeah. I will be quiet for a moment here.
Yeah, let's start with a roll that's going to fail, and then you can do your.
you can take it home afterwards.
Fair enough. Sure.
So Glarvier, let me know, what kind of a dwarf are we thinking about?
I'm thinking of because Dwarven ale smiths are well known because obviously we make the nog and presumably we make all manner of other ales. I'm thinking that probably like maybe like a dwarven sort of brewer probably wouldn't be bothered about being slightly eccentric or not as bothered. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's like another brewer I know I've like swapped recipes with or whatever, you know, that sort of like you have a bit of like
pen pal, basically.
yeah, you basically have like a bit of a professional sort of relationship, I suppose. You know, you're both in the same business, you know, you're both sort of doing the same thing.
Yeah. I'm on your sheet looking at your stuff. Okay, cool. Just checking. So while you are indeed skilled in the arts of nog making,
Oh yeah, my circle's terrible.
you were never a nog maker yourself. You do know how to do it, but by profession you were never one.
That's true.
So
I'm more of like what I think like an enthusiastic amateur.
yeah,
But,
you're
but I'm thinking that maybe like I learned some of this off like a dwarf who's like properly into like the brewing, and I was maybe thinking of going into that myself, but like my life didn't go that way.
yeah, but the appreciation stayed.
The roots run deep.
I just want somewhere where we can lay low for a few days and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's not like you're strolling in with someone who's like pathologically incapable of lying or not challenging lies and deceit when they're seen.
That city's going to burn to the ground.
Personally.
So, so it's going to be a 3.
Can you spend Arthur? Can you? Has it got a
Yeah.
bonus?
I'm probably gonna have to.
Yeah, same rules apply.
I'll dump a couple of the cider into it. Why not?
And this is 3, by the way, because it is within the same setting. You are a Longbeard. You will have known brewers.
Yeah.
But you were never a brewer yourself. So.
Okay, so
I believe in you, John.
put 2 Arthur into it.
Believe.
Okay, the
Praise Gale.
difference is 3.
I think your circle thing can get better as well.
Boom.
Oh!
Two
should-
6s as well if you
Oh,
want to.
ooh,
pump.
yeah.
Do you know what? Yeah, I took a cheeky fate into it. I've got like 16 of them.
Yeah, you've got more than enough. So
Jesus, mother of God. I thought I had a lot of 10.
Although I'm down to 1 persona now, so
Well, yeah, I'm down to 3 on that myself.
2
There
more
we go.
successes.
Oh,
Boom.
wow.
Yeah,
Do
6
you want a-
successes.
Do you want a
Yep.
suggestion, John? How about the other nog you've been handing out?
Yes.
Maybe this was a gift from them some time ago, like as a.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I'd pray a small tweak of that. Maybe like this is like when they were teaching me. Maybe this is like the first batch I brewed with
Ooh, I like
with like
that.
them
I like
sort of
that.
helping me.
yeah. Right. So I think
So
this.
I need to get some more. I've used it all.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be like a, because there's a reason why this brewer would be here and not in Mulbrannan making the brews. So I think
Maybe
I
there
think-
was some scuttlebutt.
yeah, I think that the reason why they're here is because they are stubborn as shit and they are good at brewing, and they flat out refused to join the guild. Like the guild was, you're brewing, you need to be on the list. And he was like, please, bitch, I'm too good to join the guild. Like you hold your brews.
I'm a
I'll hold
dwarven
mine."
nog. I suck on these nuts.
Yeah. It's like, no, I brew my stuff. That's for me. Like you keep your guild stuff. And then the guild was basically like to the nobles, it's like, this guy needs to go. And then suddenly, oh, sorry, you need to leave now.
Do you add your circle people on in the rogues tab?
You can add that on your, I think it's here.
It's in the first character info section, and then you add it down
Yeah.
to the
So
bottom.
below relationships, there's a bit that says circles.
Oh yeah, cool.
So add that there, and you have it will show up an aptitude for that as well. And when you roll enough of that, it turns into a relationship.
Oh nice.
And then that's even more powerful.
So
You
do
can
I
call on
start off with any aptitude from that roll, or is
Yeah,
it just
you
like-
get the one that you just did.
Okay,
So
cool.
one tick.
Hell of a roll, John. Hell of a roll.
it. Yeah, really, just plum.
So,
And
so
I'm
this,
Actually, not doing too bad this evening.
so this is like a brushed aside actual brewmaster who's like, well, like I'm like you want to control what I do, and I get that, but I'm like, sorry,
We'll get fucked.
like I'm gonna do my thing. So you do what you do,
I've
and
put
then
dwarven brewmaster on the outs with the guilds.
yeah, and then you can name the guy, and you'll get if you name them, you'll get +1 to circles them up further.
I will name them as soon as I bought up a suitable dwarven name generator.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while this is obviously going on, I think obviously Cameron has a good point. So, for me, I think I would want to lean into my relationship with Zerval and her people in Namrata, which would be the closest elven holding to humanity anyway. I would imagine that her people would want to have someone in the fanatical hellspit of Riethal, because obviously, they're the first ones to get crusaded, probably. So, do I have to do a circles roll?
I don't think so. You can let me look at your stuff here.
Because obviously I'm still building that relationship. So oh, sorry, you're controlling me, aren't you?
Yeah, I just checked your thing here. So so you don't have Zerval as a relationship yet. So
no, that's right. I'm saying I'm still building.
If you wanted to circles her up, you would roll for that. But what I'm hearing is you want the circles up another one of these Numarta elves in Riethil currently.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like so you want to know that you want to know the spy in Riethil.
Got it. Yes.
So you can do that. Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you fail, this person's disfavorable towards you.
Or they don't exist at all, I guess, right?
No, if people fail every single time, rather than having nothing happen, I will invoke the enmity clause, which is the rule that says
the person exists.
Some trouble happens.
Okay, so
and if you have corruption, there's another one like that, but it's instead of like, oh, there's some trouble, it's you're attracting the weird, psycho sorcerer murder guys, and they're like, yes, master.
So Cameron's old friends, basically. Got it. Right, cool. So circles roll to create a spy. Bear with me. I'll just go over to my circles. So what's the difficulty for that?
Oh boy, you're not a dark elf, so it's.
However, I do have an infamous reputation for associating with them, so I get a die for that.
Yeah.
Would you get an advantage because he knows one of the people of the group of them?
Well, because I have this reputation, that's why I was trying to say that.
Yeah, no, Matthew. All dark elves don't know each other, Matthew.
No, not all of them, but I meant like if these are like spies, there might be.
This probably person would know. I could probably name drop her when I get there.
Yeah, that's a real thing. You could be like, oh yeah,
I'm buddies with Zerval. So, I'm her guy on the other side of the river.
I'm her guy on the inside.
Yeah, I'm like the one elf that talks to you people.
Yeah. So what do you mean, you people?
Yeah, you know what I mean by you people. In that case, they will know what I mean.
So I'm gonna say this is like, it's gonna have to be specific occupation.
Okay.
And that's gonna put it at a 4.
Okay, that's fine. Can I get a bonus for that infamous reputation?
The reputation, because
I know dark elves and I associate with them.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm gonna have to look up specifically if there's anything extra on the and you're right to do so. Like, that's the intent here. Okay, doing a quick check.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I guess we could apply it here. Yep.
I mean, hell, you're going to use it against me eventually. I guess gotta come into play on my side sometime, right?
Yeah, the infamous thing is kind of like it applies in all situations, positive and negative. So
right, exactly. I was gonna say, when I go back home and try to do this kind of stuff, they'll then be like people are gonna be like, difficulty, right? Yeah.
Like, I mean, sure, but like, I know the kind of people you hang out with.
Yeah. yeah, I mean, I guess, but you're also a lunatic. Oh, what? Yeah, I heard you like to murder people with dark elves. Wait, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not what the rumors say.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I heard. So
Yeah. All right, let's just do it. Ooh. Oh, but I do get a 6.
you do get a 6. So if you roll a couple more successes, you're
this to work. So
you're home free.
All right, let's try it. One. So let's do 1. Come on, baby, big money, big money, big money. Yes. Okay, one more success.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got one, but it's unfortunately it wasn't a 6, so we're one off. Yep. Almost there.
And I can't retroactively throw in.
No, well, we're done with this one basically.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Like, you can mark your one persona and one fate for your circles, though.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah. Right. Okay. So who is this? Do you want to name them?
Yeah. I'll name them. I'm just generating that.
So you can put that there, and there will be consequences once we go looking.
Yeah, I'm sure the spy in question will probably be a little harder to, smoosh.
So basically what we've just done is we've established these NPCs. However, we will we've rolled this now, but the action is going to happen once we go to Riathil of you guys actually contacting these people. Like that's going to be done then, but we've rolled this in advance. But we'll deal with the sort of actual action once we get there. But you're sort of thinking like, who do I know?
Racking our brains.
Yeah. Right. Okay. We've established Jondrel and Dark Elf Spy.
I'll have a name in a minute. I'm just
Murderina Darkblade.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. So we're all stood in the very scenic location of this ancient withered elven forest, this stained reflecting pool. We're all thinking about the crossroads that we find ourselves in. What do we do? Which way do we head? What is the call? And I think it's down to Cameron, because everyone's sort of been pointing out the options and then saying Cameron. Like it's like
choose your destiny.
He is very conflicted in this because, the first time, possibly in generations, we have an idea where the actual crown may be, and it's something that desperately needs to be found and put to good use and not allowed to fall into the hands of, the church. But at the same time, being here and seeing sort of what they're doing to Tyrell's history and the church's involvement leaves him very disquiet, and he wants to know more, but does he pull at that thread?
This is a good point, Matthew. I will point out, you play this out, and this is when we do the mold breaker thing, because you have a clear crossroad on your sheet. So you break one of those appropriately now, and
so
we're good to go.
This is a belief.
Yep. You have a belief that says you want to learn about the church, right?
Yeah.
And you have one that's about the tracking down the crown, getting to Khaz Karad. So that's your crossroad. You break one of them, pursue the other. And making this very explicit because we're trying to get to grips with this stuff.
And we've never used mold breaker. I've never had a mold breaker.
Yeah. And this is the textbook example right here. Literally 2 roads to go down. So
2 roads. You're comfortable leaving this up to me and to the other 2? You want me to be the one that?
I mean, they've indicated. I think Glarver and Tyrell both have basically said these are the options. This is what I think. Cameron,
we want to reach an accord.
Yeah, because at least
do we have somewhere we can stay? There's somewhere safe in Wraith. Do we have somewhere we could go? I
may know someone. Although,
yes, there may be a couple of dwarves that I can prevail upon for some brief hospitality. Also, I won't know for definite until we get there. I mean, obviously people move around, times change and whatnot.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is not an easy way. I should not move in fear. the thing we understand is when I
Your life is
both
too short, Cameron, to live in fear.
it's getting shorter by the day. What you both need to understand though is, when I was at the tower, something happened. You don't really need to understand what happened, but let's just say I had to swiftly vacate my teaching position.
As you say this, you as you're explaining, right? Sort of, I'm going to be circumspect. We're not going to dwell on this. I'll just mention this, and we'll move on. You catch a glimpse of like, oh, it's the reflecting pool. Oh, it's showing the stars.
No, not too Elven.
It's not the stars. It's not the stars. It's you looking at you from the reflecting pool. You're not at the edge, though, so it shouldn't do that.
It's looking at me.
But as you talk about this incident, which you're sort of dancing around, you see yourself looking at you from the reflecting pool.
Come on,
No. It's a matte black.
Come on, Cameron, out with it. Let us have no secrets between the
I'm
fellowship.
staring at them. Elven relics are so weird sometimes. Look, if we go there, we say it's very important, but you need to understand this. If we go there, you may meet another me, and I don't know what that's going to be like. Okay.
You hear. No one else does.
Do they hear?
Yeah, you hear.
And
What do you mean, another you?
look,
Are
you
you
make
referring
mistakes.
to
Don't
some
make
sort of
mistakes.
Have you got a twin?
doppelganger?
You got a twin or something?
Rot of sorcery, or
Look, I messed up. I summoned something I shouldn't. It wasn't meant to happen, but it did. Fate be damned, Bavia.
now it wears your face.
Now it is me. It's taken over my position at the school. I had to get out of there. I got something in return, something that could help everyone one day, but it's there. If I go there, we could run into me. It may know that I'm there. I don't know. It may be fine. It may nothing. Look, it may be you may just be teaching and having a great time, and making the students of the Covenant of the Flame great summoners. It may be fine, but if I go there, and I run into me, and I kind of glance back at the pool at that point.
Yeah, you're staring at you.
Yeah.
On the
It may
bright
not take.
on the bright side, Cameron, if as far as the people in Rathiel are concerned, you've been walking around the city doing your business like non-stop, then seeing you walking around the city shouldn't be a surprise for anybody.
But I don't know what's been happening, so I don't know what situation I'm walking into, so I want to know.
Well, be
if we have some.
discreet. I don't intend
But
for the fireworks to
I
start
want
until
you
we
to
actually.
know this. This is important for you to know,
Yes.
because you may run into me that's not a me. You understand?
Does it look exactly as you are? With the
Yes.
eyes and the familiar and.
I don't know if it has the familiar.
Presumably, though, if we bumped into this other you, it would not know us, because presumably it doesn't have all of your knowledge and memories.
Up to a point, I imagine that's true.
Perhaps we should create some sort of code word.
It's highly intelligent, crafty, and cunning. I don't want to go anywhere near it. Not at this stage. I have more important things to deal with than my own mistakes. And again, I'm looking at the pool. I can feel it laughing at me. I got something out of the deal. It wasn't great. Well, I'm gonna make the best of it. I want you guys to know, if we go there, that is a possibility. But I think that you are right. The words you've said ring true, that we need to know what the church is doing, and I can't ignore this because they're an act. Clearly, they're not passive. They're acting. They're doing something. They're
attempting to conquer the world. Yes, this is the modus operandi.
Conquer is the right word. Maybe bring about a certain.
I would use conquer.
A change, maybe. In their eyes, a change for the better.
From your perspective, you have never been on the other side of their blades. I have, and I can tell you, I know their intentions as well as anyone. And
a large organisation taking over a people is pretty much the textbook definition of conquering.
Yeah. Yes. But in addition, now that the church has essentially absorbed the school, that version of me, whatever they're doing, is now working for the church by
potentially he could be high up in it. Who knows? He could potentially have helped foster this change for his own nefarious purposes.
I
You're being
suspect
quite vague as to the nature of this spirit or being.
I do not want to name the thing.
Is it a being of
Understood.
flesh or?
It is in flesh now. It wears his face, but
I do not know its exact nature, and I don't want to
And yet
try
you
and
summoned the thing.
describe it in case it draws its attention towards us, especially in our current position.
I understand.
Well,
So that's
Cameron,
why-
if we are to go to Raphael, at least you will not be alone and you will not be unprotected.
And,
Indeed.
Rory, as much
And we
as I have
should
funded
make
him,
sure that you are never out of our sight and we will not be
that's why we need
hoodwinked
somewhere
by
to go.
this doppelganger or whatever it is.
Exactly. So we should
Perhaps a
travel-
safe word. Something to. We use them at home sometimes in
I do not know its intention.
shall we say
beyond
intimate moments.
our initial conversation, so we need to be wary. But I agree with you. I think we should go to Raphael. I feel that getting more information, it may benefit us in the long run. As far as we know, the crown isn't going anywhere.
That hasn't gone anywhere for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
And I would really like the chance to bolster or at least check in with the Dark Watchers. We need their help in this. We cannot do
It
this
would
all
be good
ourselves.
to report back to them, I do believe.
But if we have a safe place to investigate from in Raphael, because any contact I have there comes with strings attached. That
Well, we shall return to this encampment. We shall make a deal with these scavengers. We shall go to Raphael with them as prospectors, scavengers ourselves. No one will know that we're anything other than money-grubbing thieves destroying another
if they do
civilization's
have an
culture.
if they do have an elven relic, how would we stop it? How could we destroy it?
Well, I intend to take them if we can.
I was going to say, I was assuming that Terrail would take it since it's rightfully of
They
his
are
people.
ours, and they should return home. And if we can perhaps make use of them to, not to put too fine a point on it, save the world, then the elves who once dwelt here would rest more peacefully.
How much do you know about elven magic?
I mean, we are what we are.
No, I did. Yes, I understand that you are literally
It's-
magic.
It's yes.
How much do you know about how it functions in practice against your own people?
Well, I mean, you're thinking in
I
terms
can
of
only
your.
I can only describe it in academic terms.
You're thinking in terms of your forced sorceries, where you, shall we say,
so for
force
example-
your will upon the universe.
So,
We
for example, from what I
exist
understand,
as a part of the universe.
yes.
It flows through us, and we touch it with our
You
voices.
described it that it's always in music. That and
Mostly, yes.
so if say a human had the right kind of elven.
The objects we craft with our power. Again,
My
I
question-
am
my
not an
question-
expert on the crafting. I am
question
expert on.
is this possible, Errol? If a human had the right object from your people's craftsmanship, and they knew the right song and they sung it in the right way, could they?
They wouldn't have to
influence you?
sing.
Oh well, yeah. I'll say
The song is in the object, so therefore the object has been conveyed the abilities of whatever song. All they have to know is how to conjure it up, call it forth from the object.
if say that was possible,
It
could
is.
they, in effect, create a similar sense of control as we saw in the north?
No. The objects itself would have to be crafted to that purpose, and there are
And none
very
such
few
exist.
powers that operate in such a fashion.
Okay.
Again, you're thinking in terms of your forcing wills upon the universe as you humans do. It's different for us.
I understand that my understanding may be somewhat.
I do not
honest.
begrudge you your ignorance in this case. It's not something we choose to talk to with outsiders very often. Let's just say that though that the objects themselves are things of power, and they would give any human being a massive advantage over any other human being. It would be problematic to meet our own artifice in battle.
Because my student was...
Not that we haven't had to do that in the past. You know, we have had our problems ourselves, but
yes. I mean, you obviously you were listening in when we were talking to my student back up in the north. They were awfully confident in their ability.
Well,
we put it down. Me and Glavia put it down to mainly foolishness. But what if they have something of your people that helps them?
That is my concern. And any items, even if they are simply the simplest of encircled objects, they belong to us, and they should not be in the hands of the Covenant.
Much as I recovered the open hand axe, which is of my people, I would expect Tyrell to expend similar efforts to recover anything of his people that has been taken.
And I do so enjoy denying the Covenant the fruits of their labors.
I do want.
It's becoming something of a hobby of mine.
How have they gotten so powerful?
That I cannot answer.
We must be careful. Then yes, we'll go to Riffle, but we will not linger there too long.
Only so long as for us to find this reliquary. I presume that.
I have to admit, I have expended almost all of my dwarven ale to win us the friendship of these people. I wouldn't mind.
We are low on supplies.
I wouldn't mind the time to get a few extra supplies. Maybe replenish my stock after all the journey. Once we finish that, the journey to Khaz Karad is still a long, and as you say, Tyrell, very perilous.
Indeed. So we agreed then.
We agreed. But it is a short diversion. We cannot engage ourselves in a protracted conflict.
I do not intend to put down roots.
The terrain favours the church in Rathville. Me too.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cameron. It sounded like you were suggesting that I would not be in favour of a conflict with the church.
My suggestion was it does not favour us. Battle does not favour us in this.
I don't mind thumping some of those flame-tending dunderheads around a bit.
I wouldn't mind adding a few more notches to my own belt, so to speak.
Well, I'm not a swordsman, but I would prefer to know.
Yes. Infiltration is our goal.
Oh.
A lot of people are going to die in this quest. Well, Wheelmaster, you have it. This is now.
It's only Covenant of the Flame, people. If it makes you feel any better.
People.
Wow. We know they have at least some sorcerers. I think that's the correct term, of power. So it does. Even though I am not a fan of deceit or anything like that, it does behoove us to at least choose our targets wisely.
Indeed.
But yes, to Raphael, as you say, we will head back with this archaeological dig.
The thieves. You mean? Yes.
Yes.
Luckily, we need them now, or else I'd slip their throats while they slept. I digress.
Not a very honourable way to settle a grievance with someone, Tyrell, if you don't mind me saying.
Glavia, there is nothing more honourable than victory.
Well, yes, there is. Honour.
And that is what honour is.
I'm going to start edging my way back towards the camp here. It's about to turn into
It's going to be an honour off.
Also, they can't see. I'm guessing they can't see my reflection in the pool, but I can. And it's still there.
Just turn around and like doppelganger Cameron's there like.
As you return to ye old camp, Ostor welcomes you back.
We forgot about that guy.
Yeah, the steward who was sitting with these guys. Have you finished your secret conclave then?
Well, it wasn't very secret. We were just deciding on our next move.
Inviting you over, but we had some things to discuss.
I fully understand.
Indeed, our current plan is to, since these kind fellows here have invited us to share in their endeavours, is to travel back to Raphael with them. There we may resupply. You may get to enjoy a little of a more civilized environment, and then we will continue.
Some of the great ancient works that may still be present.
Ostard, before you perhaps become concerned that we are taking a diversion against your own purpose. We have knowledge of some individuals in Rathel who may be able to perhaps assist you in making further inroads with the great dwarven people of. I always forget the name of your city, Glavia.
Indeed, Ostor, and look at it this way: you've been sent by your lord to further ties of friendship between the dwarves and the humans. Yes, Mob Brandon's correct. Then look upon this endeavour, which sees humans and dwarves working together, as a small test run, perhaps, before we actually reach the great dwarven fortress of Khaz Karad.
A dry run, so to speak.
Yes, quite. Though it does seem rather wet, and he looks at the dwarves knocking back the nog.
Well,
you best learn how to take your nog.
All negotiations,
negotiate with dwarves.
all negotiations need a certain amount of lubrication, and I'll offer him like the tiny last little sip of my my nog.
He holds up a hand as I've been down that road.
Pass it here, Glavier.
So, you intend to
There you go.
pursue some secret purpose in Riethil.
You are
That's
now
fine.
insta drunk. Since
I take it slightly better than the humans, but
even a
feel,
sip gets all non-dwarves insta drunk.
Yeah.
He's just going to sing it off. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like plus
I'll just
one.
dance in the forest.
It's like
for
plus
an
one
hour or two.
obstacle for like social interactions or something.
He's going to go full
Or
karaoke
plus,
any
or
second.
plus one advantage, depending on your perspective. Ooh la la. Oster, secret purpose.
Yes.
Nah.
Which is fine. I am familiar with secret purposes. However, I wonder if we are diverting from our purpose, even though you've mentioned certain worthy goals that might be achieved along the way. Are we losing focus? This is not me indicating anything. This is me asking.
No. We're not losing focus. We have gained certain additional information about the trip to Khaz Karad, and we believe it is necessary for us to resupply and investigate certain matters that may have a bearing on that journey. Forewarned is forearmed.
My focus never wavers, Oster. Be assured of that.
And I have a great desire to see the lost hold of my people. So have no fear on that. And it is my belief, and as I've sworn to your Lord Beric, I will endeavour to aid in any way that I can in reforging the ties between our two peoples.
We want to go there as prepared as we can.
And we, unlike some, keep our word.
Woe to those who don't then.
Indeed.
Shall we enjoy this delightful forest creature and lay down for delightful nights of rest?
Sounds like a splendid idea, Austin.
Oh man, he's like the forced. He's having such a bad time.
Very well then. He does like a little jig and says, "Dance, like just dig in," and goes for a piss, I guess, in the distance.
I'm going to keep half an eye on him just because, like, if he's going in the distance, I don't want someone to come out the forest and nab him.
Yeah,
I want to. Yeah. I mean, I have elven eyes, so and these ears don't lie. So
the rest of you is elvish as well.
Cameron, can you send your thing to keep an eye on him?
It's not a thing. It's my friend, but I can. Yes.
Just send your little fox off to watch him, please.
I just kind of look at him, just go and gesture, just to.
And I'm gonna keep my eyes and ears open as well until he gets back.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
let him bathe in the pool. It will not end well for him.
Yeah,
no, please do let him.
He goes up to a tree, does his business, starts heading back. No problem.
Yeah, and I think we just
Yeah.
we'll spend the night chatting with the dwarves and the humans, getting to know them all. So basically saying, yeah, we're up for helping him with your endeavour. We're quite happy to travel with you to the city. Happy days, and we'll settle in for a night of drinking, eating, and hopefully sleeping.
I'll ask a few general questions, like have they been prospecting at other sites around the area? Is this their main one?
This is their main one. They've spent several seasons here.
How did they find this place? How did they even know it was here? Was there something just obviously sticking out the ground that drew their attention?
Yeah, the pool was a dead giveaway.
Right. Okay. So the pool's always been around. They didn't.
I'm also going to suggest to my two comrades that when watches or whatever are kept during the night, that we make sure that one of us is awake for each of the watches.
Oh, yeah, no, I fully intend on keeping it close watch. I have too many people that might want to,
I think you can trust Lord Beric's man to take
obviously
a watch as well.
we're all going to need sleep at some point of varying amounts, but yeah, we'll do a watch rotation between the three of us, so one of us is always awake.
I mean, I probably need the least. So
fast, so traditional Tolkien adventure.
Yeah.
Set of watch.
Yeah, set of watch. Roll for random encounters.
God,
that's how he created the famous works. No, so you spend your night. yeah, you're running through 3 trolls in the forest. True story. So you spend your night with the excavation crew. You chat, you talk. They seem like they are sort of, well, they're sort of been doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We bumped into enough of each other, pulled a group together. We've been around, so we started taking shots at different places. And, once we happened upon the pool, they spent, when they say we've spent a couple seasons here, they mean years.
Yeah.
So season for them is when the snows melt and when the snows start.
Come here and then work.
So they spent a couple years here digging around. So this is not the only stretch of land. They've been through the forests.
Yeah, sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just curious. Obviously, I don't want to assume that this is everyone owns part of the world, but does someone actually own this land? Does this belong to a lord, or
this
part of the Dwarven age?
This is what land. You would pick your name. These guys call it the Wildlands.
Wildlands, yeah. Okay.
So basically, this is a stretch of wild land between the mountains, which are partially, sort of controlled, quote unquote, by the dwarves, but a lot of that is not in the sort of Dwarven heartland as well. And then to the other side, in the distance, are the 100 Kingdoms of Humanity.
While the chatting's going on during the night, I basically want to, I suppose, sort of try and talk up Lord Beric, and how he's trying to reforge, hopefully with Oster's help if he can get off his arse. Talk up the fact that he's trying to build closer ties between dwarves and humans, because obviously these guys are pretty sort of mercenary in their outlook. They're all in it for the silver, and they're quite willing to work with humans. These dwarves, they're working together well. So I'm sort of trying to imply as I'm chatting to him, aided by the drink and my dwarven reputation and whatnot, trying to talk up the fact that if you get in with Lord Beric, he's trying to push the whole dwarves and humans forward as one. It might go well for you in the future because he's on the up. So you might want to hitch your wagon to that train.
Yeah, that does sound like a persuade roll.
Yeah, boy. I would like to do it with lots of slapping on backs and drunken chattery.
Is this you using your folksy wisdom or whatever?
No, this is me trying to coarsely persuade them.
Yeah, that's certainly something you could do, because that's the sort of rough charm.
Yeah, that's me sort of Lord Beric's a great bloke.
And Lord Beric, straight up just downs a knock, I'll be like,
you know he's a human you can trust because he can handle dwarven ale. How many humans can handle dwarven ale?
Yeah, not a lot. That's certainly a skill.
Okay, so
you put all of his experience points into.
Right, so I've got +1 rep amongst dwarves.
Let's see. What do we have here?
For my Dvergar.
Right. Yeah, so you are known as a Dwargar. I guess that would, yeah. None of these guys are Dvergar themselves, so I think they would put stock in that, even if they don't, like you're selling them on a very different idea, but you are like an elder Dwargar, so.
Indeed. So, course persuasion. So, 1 from my Dvergar. What sort of difficulty we're looking at?
We're looking at a 3.
Do you know what? I'm going to put my last persona into it. Why not?
He's gone all in.
Yep.
Look at that.
2 6s.
And I'm spanking a fate point into it.
Boom, boom.
Yep. Oh, 3. 4, sorry. So, yeah, like you're talking to them, and like you pick up very quickly on what these guys are about. Like the dwarves here, they're exiles and outcasts. Like they're not in Mulbrannan. They're scratching up some artifacts from the ground. They're not doing guild work. They're not out here doing the noble houses work. They're out here for themselves, really. And some of them don't really have like a proper beard as such. Like they've drifted from the sort of very traditional, if you come from, as you do, from the noble circles of Mulbrannan, very different kind of deal. Like they lead vastly different lives to yourself, but you do share the idea of not really fitting in. And these guys are out for themselves. They want to prosper. And you pick up on that very quick. You share the nog, you share the backslabs, the laughs, the dwarven songs about mostly drinking and goat cheese, I think.
Probably slipping a few verses about Misty Mountains, I guess.
Yeah. We reminisce about the glory of the glittering caves, and
I'll also try and drop in just to reinforce the whole humans and dwarves are working together. At some point I'll get out the open hand axe, which I forgot I should have got an additional bonus for because I shook hands with everybody, but I forgot about that.
Yeah,
so never mind. But I'll get that out and I'll be telling a bit of the history we found out about it, about the first amongst dwarves, joining hands with the humans and whatever, just to reinforce that whole look, it's not a new idea. Humans and dwarves are working together. We used to do it back in the old days, and let's face it, us dwarves, we love our traditions. So I'm trying to make it sound less like, hey, here's a revolutionary new idea we should go for. More like, this is us returning to a traditional way that's led to us prospering in the past.
We should be doing more of this. So, you find it, eventually, you do find it a rather easy sell. Basically, what they accept and take away from your evening with them is sign up with Lord Beric when the time comes. You're already doing this stuff, and it's not like he's against you turning a coin. So you already get along. You don't have anything that you would change. You just get on board with
what have you
Lord
got
Beric.
to lose?
Yeah. And it's a very easy sell because you know what these guys want. They want to prosper. They want a future for themselves. They want the silver, and there's more of that if we establish trade and all that stuff. They're on board. You just basically they say, but your takeaway is show us where and when this thing is gonna kick off. We'll be there. Yep. with our shovels and picks and whatnot. In the meantime, we'll continue robbing elven trinkets.
See, I'm also low key thinking if I get him to team up with Lord Beric and he gets them doing other stuff, maybe they'll do a bit less robbing elven trinkets. So that might keep Tyrell a bit happy, if they sign on with Beric and they're doing other stuff.
Yeah. So we know that this is something that we can, pick up when, things start moving. Right. Okay, cool. So we spend the evening. There's a lot of talking, a lot of, drunken, laughing.
I will mention, if I don't mean to interrupt, I will mention to Glavia as he sort of, after he sort of, the period after he's kind of convinced them about, joining Little Beric and kind of things are settling down. I just mentioned to him, I did spend several years in Rathville at the tower. Teaching. So I know some of the dwarfs that reside there, not on a personal level, mainly outcasts and.
Well, I seem to recall there was a dwarven brewmaster by the name of John Drella. I think I heard he was in the area. I don't know whether he's still there or not, but we were close once upon a time. I might be able to prevail on him for some hospitality. Like I say, assuming he's still there.
That would be most fortuitous. But what I was thinking, just hearing your tale, is perhaps you could try and give those dwarves their chance at a better lot with Beric, for they tend to fend for scraps in the city. Maybe.
Well, yes, that's what I've just been saying to them, that they should hitch their wagon to Lord Beric.
No, but I mean, while you're in the city, maybe see if you can convince him more. While we're there.
Well, yes, quite. I don't want to be I don't want to be treading on Oster's toes too much, though. Obviously, I'm here to help, but he is taking the lead in representing Lord Beric in reforging these bonds between the Mountain Kin and the humans.
Something to think about. As far as I'm aware, there is no brewmaster in Beric's lands. Perhaps
John Drill's not strictly officially a brewmaster. You have to be tied up with guilds and paperwork and all of that sort of stuff. He's very accomplished, but he was never of the signing on the dotted line, doing guild business sort of fellow. A bit of an oddball, you might say, but a good stout fellow. Good stout fellow.
I'm sure he is. Perhaps he has some apprentices that you could convince to make the jump.
Aye, who knows? Perhaps.
Who knows?
Perhaps I can, as you said, assuming John Drill is still there, perhaps I can sell him on the idea of that he might turn a tidy profit, knowing that Lord Beric has an appreciation of the finery of Dwarven ale. Perhaps he might be able to turn more of a profit if he were to become the brewmaster to Lord Beric, rather than scrabbling around for guild scraps in the city. That's a damn fine idea, Cameron. Damn fine.
It just came to me. Your words moved me, Flavia.
Yeah,
I didn't understand half of them. The beating of chests and backs seemed painful, but the words, yes.
No. It's just our way.
It's painful. Forging comradeship and appreciating each other's company in the true dwarven fashion. As you know, I'm a very strong believer in the ideals of my people, and not all of our ideals are to do with mining or crafting, although many are. We also enjoy each other's company, much as you humans do. We like to socialise with each other. We like to reinforce bonds of friendship between ourselves. We may do it differently, but as I hope we're all realising as we forge this fellowship and we're meeting all these different people, that even though there are many, many differences between the forest kin, the mountain folk, and yourselves, there are also many similarities. We may express ourselves differently, but we all appreciate our own kind. We all appreciate friendship, a good fire, hospitality. Perhaps there are more things that bring us together than there are that push us apart. Well
and
said.
That gives me hope for the future.
Well said. We all enjoy a good meal.
Aye. And a good drink!
Again, I'm good on that. But thank you. And I will sleep.
Yeah. And I think we're all set to start with the sort of ending montage of breaking down the camp, picking up the pieces, and heading towards the west, the 100 Kingdoms of Humanity, and towards Riethil, where the baleful tower of the Covenant of the First Flame resides.
And apparently an evil duplicate of Cameron that we didn't know about as well.
Whoopsie.
I did like the way Cameron was like, guys, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but
I didn't expect it to come up for quite a while because we weren't originally going to go to Rayfield for quite some time.
That's how destiny works, man.
Yeah. Works in unknown ways. So yeah, that's that. So we end with the whole crew heading in a sort of caravan towards Riethil.
Excellent. Thank you very much for running it. Very much enjoyed it.
Thank you
very much for.
Yeah, that was a lot of socializing and a lot of feeling about a little bit the history, spelunking, and all that stuff, and also. This was a turn that I did not anticipate, really.
Me neither.
I think we got some solid stuff down in there, dice rolls included. So
yeah. No, that was good. That was good.
Excellent. Well, obviously we'll sort out Arthur and whatever, but I shall stop the stream here.